See how grooved the rotors are, or maybe the camera won't pick it up. Somebody reused the rotors and put pads on it, and it's now creating noise. So sometimes reusing rotors isn't a good idea. 15 and 13, and I know I have Mark IV A4 rear brakes before, or a video that I've already posted. But maybe with fresh perspective or commentary, it might be worth watching this video. Feel free to use power tools where you can. I'm always reminded to use power tools. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not on flat rate. As long as I get it done in the time that the boss charges, that's fine by me and fine by him. I usually disconnect the parking brake cable. You don't have to. I think you can just pull the assembly up and out over the pads. But once you remove the cable, it makes things easier, provided you can get it out. You just set it aside. Now you can swing the caliper right out and just tuck it out of the way. So you can see there's slight uneven wear as well. This side is thicker than this side. You can see the grooves. That's a wheel spacer, so that the wheel is nice and center. New pads should come with hardware. You want to, if they don't, then you want to clean this, get it nice and shiny again. You want to lubricate the sliders. Now's a good time to inspect the ABS tone ring and the sensor, check for any damage. And also spin the wheel bearing or the hub, listen for wheel bearing noise. Turn the piston in until it stops. Make sure that the boot is free to rotate. If it kinks, don't force it. You don't want to break the dust boot. Lift the boot so the air can come out. sure the pad is nice and free. Same on the inside pad. Make sure it's nice and free to move. Slide the caliper over and then check for free play. That's too much. I'm going to turn the piston back out until you get a bit of play. That's good. New bolts. I didn't apply anything on the pads here because there's a coating that's good enough. Loctite can make it difficult to turn those bolts. And you want to make sure those are sitting correct. Forgot to mention that. So you just push these springs up. So that they wedge under the caliper. You don't want them sticking out here. Loctite again, getting tight. Make sure the brake cable is loose. If it seems tight, it's probably binding somewhere. Make sure the boot goes back over this end piece. Check the cable for bubbling, rusty bubbling. That's another indication that the cable's no good. And that's it. Do the same on the other side. And I forgot to mention, if you're going to bleed the brakes, watch one of my other videos, it'll show you how to do it. Open up the bleeder and either pump and hold or use a pressure bleeder. Once you're done with the brakes and flushing, pump the brake pedal. You'll want to make sure to pump the brakes before you drive the vehicle, because the initial application might be a low pedal, which can freak the hell out of you. So pump it till it's firm. Work the handbrake a few times. Before you check handbrake operation, check to make sure that the wheels are free already. wheels are free, apply handbrake. Good and tight. Obviously check it on a hill with the vehicle weight. Release the handbrake, check that the wheels are free again. That's it. Take it for a test drive, see how she goes. New brakes will smell a little bit. They might even smoke a bit during the initial break-in period. Don't worry about that. Just make sure that the brakes don't drag. If they seem to get hotter than normal, or especially between left and right, definitely investigate as to the reason why. Get yourself an infrared heat gun. That way you can just point it at the rotor to compare how hot each side gets. If they're equal temperature, odds are everything is okay, unless obviously the brakes are dragging equally. That's it. Shouldn't be too complicated. Thanks for watching. If you do have to do the brake cables, obviously you have to remove this interior trim. I do have an old video about that, but it sucks pretty bad. Hoping to redo it one of these days. This one here, I'm not going to go into it because that's time that I'm not getting paid for. I like to flush brake fluid starting with the front brakes because they're closest to the caliper, or to the master cylinder, and that flushes the reservoir the quickest. You can see it's coming out dirty green. Just let it run until it changes color. Hard to tell sometimes, but usually you'll be able to tell the difference. That looks cleaner to me. Don't over tighten these bleeder nipples. It's just going to create headaches for you in the long run. This one's already looking clean. With the rear caliper nipples, you got to be careful because it's an aluminum caliper. The nipple sometimes takes your threads out. Sorry if you can't see too well. This is just to show you or give you an idea of how to do it. See, it doesn't take long for clean fluid to show up at the back if you do the front first. See, this one didn't feel too good when I moved the bleeder. Hopefully it's going to seal afterwards still. Might be lucky, but not the next time. It's still leaking. So, who's at fault here? It wasn't leaking before, now it's leaking because the bleeder is not seating correctly. Give an estimate for pads and rotors, and then you end up with a caliper that leaks. And trust me, the shop is not as happy, is equally not as happy as the customer if the customer now needs a caliper. Just use some water to clean off any spilled brake fluid. Make sure there are no leaks. Have somebody step on the brakes while you look at the bleeder nipple, and obviously there should be no fluid coming out.